Hi. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about parenting and how parenting is related with meditation and inquiry practices. I wanted to back up a little bit and talk about our modern times and how we interact with the world based on what our goals are and what we're looking for. So we live in these modern times, we live from a more material perspective. We 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 feel that when we meet our goals, that we will actually have the experience and the feelings that we're looking for. So when we have the goal of being wealthy, we take steps towards it. We go to school for years, we start our careers, we do our hard work so that we can rise up in our work and make more money. So we know this is the steps towards making more money. And there's also a feeling that we want to get from making more money, oftentimes. Whether that feeling is a feeling of freedom, a feeling of joy, security. So we look towards our goals, wealth, and we take the steps towards it. We might have the goal of, I want a family. And what that could mean is like, okay, I'm going to get into a relationship, I'm going to work on having children, and then I'm going to have a family. And maybe there's a feeling and then behind that, which is like, oh, I want a sense of belonging as part of that. So really, that what I meant by material is that we look at the feeling that we want and we put it into a material goal, like having a family, having children, having a career that brings me wealth. In these times, the part of the education that we miss is that we can have and attain our goals, but it doesn't necessarily bring us the feelings that we're looking for. So we have wealth. It doesn't necessarily bring us the feeling of more freedom or more joy. It can bring us more insecurity. It can make us feel more trapped in our careers or in our lifestyles to continue to pay for whatever luxuries that we want to have in our lives. We can have a family. And, there's, of course, benefits to having these things like wealth and families, etc., whatever our goals are. However, we can still feel on some level, on a deep level, that we don't belong, even when we have families. We just don't learn that these feelings that we're looking for don't necessarily come with meeting our goals. And we don't learn that these feelings that we're looking for can come to us even when we don't meet our goals. I just wanted to take a pause on that because we all get into, if I meet my goal, I'll get the feeling. That actually the feeling can come way before the goal. Or maybe the goal never manifests, but the feeling is present. So how does this connect with parenting and meditation and inquiry? Parenting ourselves. So if we were to liken our goals to our ego's versions of getting the feeling that we want, it's not the actual feeling, because the ego is not the actual feeling. It may have elements of feeling in it, but it's not it. So parenting, self-parenting, is the missing education, because these feelings that we're looking for are our ability to experience them is present, and our bodies need to have that presence in order to have them. And when our blocks to those feelings come up, our egos can feel lost and alone and scared and sad or angry or hopeless. Our egos can feel a lot, and there isn't the presence, our own inner parent, to hold us, to comfort us, to stay present, to be with us as we go into those darker places. So I'm going to take the example of belonging. We have one of our fundamental desires is a feeling of belonging. And so when we miss that feeling, we try to fill it in a myriad of ways. We try to join communities that give us a feeling of belonging. We have families so we can have a feeling of belonging. We, will try all kinds of different things in our lives externally to get that feeling. I belong. And sometimes when we do that, we do these actions outside. They're important. They can be very important to do these actions. But we receive some of it. But there's still parts of us that feel like, I don't belong. What is happening is that maybe I don't feel like I belong in my body, in my heart, in my soul. It's not about the community. It's about my relationship to myself and my belonging in myself, in my heart, in my body, in my soul. So parenting ourselves with meditation is we get to be present with the feeling of belonging, or the lack of feeling of belonging, in ourselves. Parenting ourselves also means that when we go to that feeling of lack of belonging, and we get the feelings of hopelessness, despair, loneliness, that we have likely experienced not just presently, but they are resonant, so many layers in our lives. I didn't belong because I was, just examples here, I didn't belong because I was of a different color than the people around me. I didn't belong because there was something missing in my family that didn't recognize and appreciate my heart and my soul. I didn't belong because I disconnected from my heart and my soul and my body, because it was too painful to stay connected in an environment where I wasn't mirrored, valued. And I don't, it could be a lot of different layers here of lack of belonging. So we can have a family, we can have children, we can experience a certain amount of belonging, and yet some of those feelings and experiences, even though our world looks so happy from the outside, having everything that we want, so many of us underneath this veneer of happiness carry a feeling, for example, of not belonging, an insecurity, a pain, a wound. And nobody taught us when we were growing up, like we went to school, many of us went to school and studied, that this meeting of ourselves, the parenting of ourselves, is actually the way to have the feelings and the feelings, these very important necessary, essential elements that we want. It's the way to it is through ourselves, not through the goals that we set. Necessarily. Again, not knocking our goals. However, just naming that they are not what gives us what we are looking for and need. It's the feelings. So, what does this mean? In this world where we're like, okay, this is really hard. I mean, maybe it should be really easy. I should just, if I don't get what I want, if I don't get the feeling that I want, I, I can disconnect and live in pain, even though my life looks on the outside beautiful, because I don't know what else to do. I don't see anything around me that tells me how I'm supposed to feel differently. I don't see a path. I don't see other people around me who understand this. I might even feel really isolated because it seems like other people are doing better than me. It seems like I'm supposed to be happy because I reached my goal. Or I'm supposed to be unhappy because I haven't reached my goal. What we're missing is like parenting ourselves, but also what we're missing in this culture are essential parents. Essential parents who know the path and the journey back to ourselves, back in our bodies, in our hearts, in our souls. And so we don't know what else to do except to struggle. And this is the state. Sadly, this is very much a state of our existence for most of us. It's just missing from our culture. It's a missing piece of knowledge, piece of common sense that isn't common anymore. And it also feels like a big effort to get there. And so we don't know how to do it. We give up. We live our lives. We do the best that we can, of course. But some of us, and may this be more than some of us, may this continue to spread and expand as times go on. We start to reach out. Somehow we start to look for more answers. Either because we feel like we're suffering a lot, or we feel like we know something else is possible. And we want our suffering to decrease, and we want that something else that's possible. So if you are someone who is in that category, I just want to share with you that you are on target. You are on your path. You are not alone. There is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you struggling with the lack of essential parenting. We need somebody to guide us and support us, and we need to learn how to parent ourselves. So, may you be held. May you walk on your path at whatever pace is right for you. May you continue to walk each step that you take to recognize it is a step closer to your home, your real home, your heart, your soul, and in this body. Blessings.